Chapter 10. Connections. Exterior, Casa Paradiso, middle of the night. Dan and Doc and Ra walk up the stairs toward Dan's apartment. Dan notices a paper gently blowing against his door.
"Whoa,"
says Ra.
"that does not look good."
3 days.
Dan reads with depression, tearing the eviction notice from the door and tossing it to the wind. They step into the apartment after Dan unlocks the door. An elated Mr. Mumbles encircles Dan's feet. He walks to the kitchen, opening a lower cabinet and grabbing a box of dry cat food before pouring it in her bowl.
"Well, Mr. Mumbles, looks like it's the last few days in these walls. It's downhill from here, girl."
Dan shuffles to his room, Akinra speeding past him and plopping down in his bed.
"I call top bunk,"
he declares.
"This isn't a bunk bed,"
Dan grumbles.
"Meh, you'll figure it out, bro."
100% Egyptian cotton,
Dan reminds him as Ra rolls onto the floor.
"If I had my scepter, I could banish you to the Shadow Realm."
"I'd like to see you try, Pharaoh,"
Dan replies, lazily stretching across his bed.
"Hey, bro,"
Ra calls.
"mind setting an alarm for 6 a.m.? I gotta get up in a few hours and do my calisthenics. These old bones don't stay limber without my routine."
"Good night,"
Dan asserts, covering his head with earmuffs to not be bothered any further. Dan stares at the ceiling, watching the wired lamp slightly swing above his head. Another approximate 10 minutes go by as he realizes that's all he's been doing. He takes off his jeans, suspecting that his lack of comfort was responsible. He could hear Akinra calling his name on repeat, muffled faint enough that he could drown it out. He tosses the pants to a nearby corner, his notepad dropping onto the bed. Even the fabric of his striped boxers isn't enough to comfort him to sleep. He grabs the notepad, flipping it open to Adam's name again.
"What am I even supposed to do to him?"
he thinks. He flips through more pages, looking at the names of those who've tasted his sweet vengeance, but grimacing at the names of those who've yet to be fed. Another flip lands him on the page with Akinra's crossed out name as a pestering voice echoes in his head. "Maybe if you spent more time making friends out of your enemies instead of revenge, you'd have more people to help you." Dan glances toward the floor at Akinra, watching as he flicks ancient crusts from between his toes before Ra looks up and gives an absent-minded smile toward Dan, his single gold tooth sandwiched between rows of cavity-worn teeth.
"Ugh, here goes nothing, I guess."
"Hey, Dan, it's just like old times, right? Right, Dan? Dan, right, Dan?"
Dan removes the earmuffs from his head.
Dan, are you really gonna ignore me again? Dan?
Akinra,
he calls.
"Finally, yeah, bro?"
I think... Here goes.
He grumbles through the unusual feeling of remorse.
"I think I owe you an apology from back then. All you wanted was a friend and I turned you away, so yeah, sorry. There."
"Honestly, man, water under the bridge. I mean, really."
"But you just really have to chill out. There are boundaries and you cross all of them. So if this friendship thing is gonna work, you have to be civilized, I guess."
"All right, man. Cool. All you had to do was ask nicely. I speak English."
"And another thing, lay off my best friend's wife. With the way Chris eats, he'll die in like 20 years before she does. You're free to do whatever you want after that."
"Holy crap!"
Ra exclaims.
"I never even thought about it like that. I'm like 4,000 in a few. 20 years is like a month for me. You know what? Have a really good night, bro."
He continues, lying down with a smile splashed across his face.
"You too, pal."
Dan replies.
"Huh.
He thinks to himself.
That actually didn't feel as bad as I thought."
He lies back down, staring at Akinra's name in the notepad. He grabs a pencil from his nightstand and erases the name from the notepad, dusting off the eraser bits as a slight smile forms across his face. Finally, he could rest his eyes and drift to sleep. Exterior, unknown, night. Dan stands outside, friends gathered by his side, but enemies facing him head on. The female demon boss floats right above him as her actions confuse him.
"But I don't get it,"
Dan declares.
"Didn't we have something before? You wanted me to serve with you. You promised to make me a demon."
She slowly glides down toward Dan, placing her hand on his cheek and caressing his face.
"Oh, Dan, little Dan,"
she begins.
"turning you into a demon was never about having feelings for you. It's just the only way to stop the cycle. But your earthly attachments have crippled you. They always do."
The demon turns her back to him, gliding toward the figures that oppose Dan as she utters a single command.
"Kill him."
A body crashes into Dan, sending him speeding backward. Another raises their hand as Dan is thrown skyward. And finally, the only figure he could make out, Adam sends a ball of fire hurling toward him. Dan shouts, rising from his bed in a cold sweat. He glances around the room in confusion, not sure of where he is. The digital clock on his nightstand catches his attention. 1:23 p.m. He pants as he hops out of the bed over Ra's sleeping body.
They're gonna kill me,
He says, dialing Chris on his phone as he lets the afternoon sunlight through his blinds. Chris stands near his kitchen sink, chopping bacon for his lunch as the phone rings.
Answer your phone, Chris!
Ellie shouts from the back in her bedroom.
It's just Dan. I already sent it to voicemail.
Elise peeks her head out of the bedroom door.
Why on earth would you do that, Chris?
She replies, fully emerging from the room.
Well, you said if I'm busy, don't let him interrupt.
Yes, but don't you think recent events might have changed that?
Yeah, you've got a point. I wasn't thinking. If it's important enough, he'll leave a voicemail.
And just then, Chris's phone vibrates.
See? Voicemail.
He announces, tapping the notification.
I'm gonna die! Get over here!
The voicemail abruptly ends with a click.
Okay, that might actually be important.
Meanwhile, back at Dan's house, a knock sounds on the door.
That was fast!
Dan declares, rushing toward the door.
Chris, come in!
Dan is swiftly silenced, frozen in awe at the woman that stands before him, the freckled face and slightly gapped tooth that he'd longed to see. The smile that stretches across his face can only be described as drunken happiness.
Hi, Dan.
She greets with a timid wave.
Oh, Hortense, please come in.
Hortense steps into Dan's apartment as Akin-Ra emerges from the back.
Oh!
Hortense exclaims.
I didn't know you had company. If it's not a good time.
Well.
Akin-Ra begins as he approaches Hortense.
How you doing?
Ra gently takes Hortense by the hand as he bows.
I am Akin-Ra, 14th king of the Neferenkan dynasty.
No!
Dan interjects, pushing Ra away from her.
Alright, bro, chill. I didn't realize these were your lumps.
Ra begins, lifting his hands in surrender.
I'm not trying to break the code or anything. You and I are bros now. I'll leave you two alone.
Akin-Ra shuffles toward the kitchen to forage as Dan escorts Hortense to his couch.
You look good,
He says.
and you look...
Hortense sizes Dan, staring at a set of dangling legs hanging from a pair of boxers as she covers her mouth with a chuckle.
Harry.
She continues. Dan's face turns red. He zooms into his room and speeds out, now wearing his usual pair of jeans.
Can I talk to you about something, Dan? I don't know.
He replies with a slightly annoyed expression.
Are you sure your husband doesn't mind? That's the thing. Jeremiah didn't make it, Dan. He died from that heart attack 2 days later. Really?
Dan tries his best to show concern, but the truth is that he was discreetly overjoyed at the news.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, thanks. I blamed you for it for months, but maybe it's my fault for rushing into things. Then Chris called me this morning and said you were in trouble, so I just had to come over. Wait, Chris, how did he know you're...
Dan looks toward the ceiling for a moment, but quickly recalls yesterday's car ride.
Oh, the invitation. I would have called, but I wasn't sure if your number changed, and I figure it's best to talk in person. So what's going on, Dan?
He grabs her by the hand, placing his own atop hers.
I don't think I should involve you, but Elise is taking care of it, so just don't worry about me. But can we start over? Yes, Dan, as friends. I tried to rush things with you too, and it hurt you. I don't want to be that kind of girl anymore.
Dan sighs, head lowered with depression.
That's fine, I guess. Hey, don't look like that.
Hortense demands, tilting his face toward hers.
Friends still hang out, and I can book us a reservation tonight. We can talk more then. Wait, but there's still other stuff I want to say. Me too, Dan, but honestly...
Hortense glances toward an unidentifiable brown liquid dripping from a ceiling corner.
Your place is kind of gross, and I don't want to be here any longer. I'm sorry, that sounds so bad.
Hortense rises to her feet, walking toward the door as Dan follows behind.
I'll see you, Dan. Keep your phone on and I'll text you the details. Your phone number's still the same or... Yeah.
Hortense opens the door as Chris and Elise cut her steps.
Oh, hey, guys.
Hortense greets with cheer.
Hey, girl.
Elise greets back, Chris giving a smile and a silent wave.
Oh, you look good.
Elise continues.
You really do.
Chris adds.
Thanks.
Hortense replies, tucking her brown hair behind her ear.
I was just on my way out, but we should definitely catch up sometime. Bye.
She continues, rushing out the door.
Chris, get in here!
Dan growls, placing his arm around Chris's neck.
Why did you call her? My place is a complete mess.
Hey, I didn't tell her to come over. I just told her you were in trouble and gave your address. I thought she'd at least call.
Well, she didn't.
You know, Dan, normal people say good afternoon before they start blaming people for things.
Is it a good afternoon, Chris? Because things seem pretty dark to me.
Look, Dan, don't blame me because you can't keep your apartment clean. And here,
Chris hands Dan a stack of mail, crumpled as if they were stuffed together.
you can't even keep your mailbox clean. It's like you never check it. The door was wide open. It was so full.
Akinra stands in the kitchen with a bowl of cereal, remembering Dan's request as he resists the urge to flirt with Elise.
Hey, bros.
He simply greets.
Why would I check the mail?
Dan asks.
It's just a bunch of bills I'm not paying.
He continues, tossing the envelopes away one by one.
Bill, jury duty, Bill, birthday card from you, that was about, Bill, adoption agency.
Dan and Chris's eyes widen with curiosity as Elise sits on the couch, Mr. Mumbles hopping up to cozy in her lap. Dan drops the rest of the mail on the floor, quickly opening the letter from the adoption agency.
Read it, Dan.
Chris demands.
I'm getting to it.
Dan snaps back.
Smiles and Misfits Adoption Agency. Dan, we are reaching out to advise that after an unfortunate incident with the Goodhills, Dennis Goodhill has re-entered the system and become a ward of the state.
Dan continues reading as he and Chris sit on either side of Elise.
Since you were next on the list, we would like to meet with you to discuss your criminal background. Failure to respond in 2 weeks will result in Dennis being placed with a foster family, and your position on the list will be subsequently moved to the bottom. Wait, 2 weeks? Chris, what's today?
The 4th?
Oh no, this says... Oh wait, July 22nd. So 2 weeks means I have until tomorrow. This is great news. I get my kid back.
Well, he was never really your kid, Dan.
Shut up. He's my kid.
I wonder what happened, though.
Elise inquires.
There's a second page, Dan.
Chris advises.
Oh, right. Let me see. Case incident 57352. Dennis the Menace. After the Goodhills found out that Dennis had been stealing from them and selling their things, they grounded him, taking away everything that they had ever bought him. As a result, Dennis burned their house to the ground.
Okay, yeah, he's Dan's kid.
Elise concedes.
Yes, that's my boy.
Dan shouts with pride.
But wait, I get that tomorrow is the last day, but do you really think it's wise to get Dennis mixed up in all this?
You're not wrong, Elise.
Dan agrees.
That just means we have to finish this tonight.
Chris ponders.
Tonight.
He repeats.
Doesn't this feel off to you guys?
What do you mean?
Elise asks.
All of this feels too neat.
Uh-oh, Elise, he's lost it. We gotta put him down.
No, I'm serious, Dan. Think about it. Your money goes missing only to find out that the telemarketer did it and that he's your brother who, for whatever excuse you never recognized, at least fights with our old boss. Then Adam also turns out to be a demon. Akinra is literally eating cereal in your kitchen.
Ra acknowledges that he's been mentioned, leaning against the counter as they all look at him.
Yo,
he responds.
And then
Chris continues.
Hortense shows up and now you're going to adopt Dennis? I've seen way too many movies to ignore something like this.
Okay?
Dan questions.
Exactly what are you trying to say, Chris? Everything you just mentioned happened because of us. My brother hates me. Elise is Elise. You called Hortense and the Goodhills are hippies. They got what was coming to them.
Yeah, no, all that's fine, Dan. It's just, no matter how you look at it, that's just too many coincidences for what's barely been 2 days.
Everyone sits in silence, absorbing the things that Chris has said. A pestering thought creeps into Chris's mind as he stands up, walks in front of Dan, and stares him intensely in the eyes as his hands grip his shoulders.
Listen to me, Dan. Your voicemail. I heard what you said. Did you have a vision of your death this morning?
Last night, but why are you asking me that?
Because I'm thinking. Do you remember anything specific about it?
Well, I'm pretty sure our former boss was there, and Adam. Oh, and it was nighttime.
I see. I don't want to jump to conclusions, Dan, but I think all of these coincidences are on purpose. It's like some unknown force is setting something up. And judging by the amount of callbacks, I'd say it's something pretty big.
I never considered that.
Elise announces.
Maybe it's because you guys have been knee deep in all of it, but it's sort of like a calm before the storm thing. And if what Chris is saying is right, Dan, you might actually die tonight.
Dan hops to his feet toward Elise.
Why would you say that so casually?
Oh, sorry, I just got lost in the moment, but no, that would be bad. But don't worry, I'm going to get Akenra's scepter tonight. I can have a team keep you protected until this blows over. Really wish we knew more people with magic. Could use all the help we can get.
Magic, huh?
Dan questions with a stretch.
Well, it's not magic, but it's pretty darn close. I think I know what I gotta do.
What is it, Dan?
Chris asks.
I'm gonna go rob the bank. You coming?
And this concludes Chapter 10, Connections.